Okay, so this is grade 7 accelerated practice exam, and this is going to be similar to your exam, so we're going to show you how to work through a lot of these questions here, and I guess here we go. So the first one here is okay. Here is some irrational numbers, okay, and you are to plot on this line here closest to or identify the range where this number would lie. Okay, identify letter range where the value for the given expression lies. Ensure that the range consists of two adjacent letters, it means the next two letters, or letters in an adjacent number. So it could be like a number, two numbers right next to each other, or a letter or two letters that are right next to each other. Okay, so here you just have to kind of like recognize what the two numbers are, and then give a ballpark and figure out what the best guess would be. Okay, so we're gonna start off by looking at number A here, 1A. Right, so we get that we have 2 pi minus 7. All right, so you know here that pi is about 3.14. And if we multiply that by 2, we get about 6 point, like, I don't know, let's see, like 3.0-ish, right? Ish. It's like well beyond the scale of being able to look on here, right? And then it's going to be minus 7, right? So this is about like 6 minus 7, 6.3 minus 7. This is going to be between, if it was 7 minus 7, right, it would be 0, but it's going to overshoot 0 a little bit, but it's not going to quite reach negative 1, because if it was 6 minus 7, it would be negative 1, because 6 minus 7 equals negative 1, right? And 7 minus 7 is 0, right? So it's going to be between negative 1 and 0, right? So here's 0 and here's negative 1. So which one's it going to be between? Is it going to be between p and negative 1, or is it going to be between p and 0? Well, we started off at 6.3, right, which is a little bit more than 6, right? So we're taking away like 7, right? So it's going to end up being like 6 points. It's going to be like 0.70. So it's going to be a little bit greater than the half that it's shooting over, right? So if you do like if it was like, let's say it's a 600 or 600, say it's a 630-ish, right? You can kind of conceptualize it like this. If it was like 630 minus 700, right, you would be at minus 700. You would be at minus 70, right? So it's going to be closer. So here it's going to be closer to the 0.7, right? The negative 0.7. So it's going to be between negative 1 and p. So it's going to be between negative 1 and p, right? So it's going to be between negative 1 and p right here. This should be point range. I'll make sure to change that on the test. Point range. So it's going to be between negative 1 and p. All right. So how about this one? This one's the square root of 5. Okay, well, let's think about what we know about the square root of 4. And what's the next? This is a perfect square, and that is 2. And the square root of 3. Okay, the square root of 3. I'm sorry, not square root of 3. I'm sorry. The square root. What's the next perfect square? Okay, the square root of 4. 5 isn't a perfect square. 6 isn't a perfect square. 7 isn't a perfect square. 8 isn't a perfect square. 9's a perfect square, though. Square root of 9 is 3. Okay, so square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. Well, the square root of 5 is much closer to the square root of 9. So this is going to be much closer to 2 than it is going to be to 3, right? So this is 2, and this goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So each one of these is, let's see, there's 0.5 per each, right? So let's see, this is about, let's see, this is like 1.25, and that would be, would be like right here, 1.25, 1.25 would be between n and t. 1.25 is between n and t, right? So 2 would be like probably like right here ish. So I'm gonna say that it's probably between t and b, because I think t is like right about here. T and b. Okay. All right. Next one. And it might be even acceptable to say, be between b and 2.5. 2.5. I think probably both of those answers would be acceptable there. Okay, so here we go. We have the cube root of 29. As long as you show your work up here, you think it's probably pretty acceptable to say, hey, it's probably in here somewhere, right? So either one of these ranges, I believe, would probably be pretty acceptable. All right. So here we have the cube root of 29 minus 5. Well, a cube root of 29, cube roots have huge ranges, right? So the closer it is to a perfect cube, the better and more precise you are. Well, the cube root of 27 is 3. So the cubed root of 29 is, just a little bit over of 3. We'll say like it's approximately 3, just a little bit greater than 3, right? So if it's going to be approximately 3, just ish, right? Just a little greater than 3, right? A little bit greater than 3, okay? And then you subtract 5, right? It's going to be, so 3 minus 5 equals negative 2, right? So it's going to be a little bit greater, than negative 2. All right, so we find our negative 2. We'll see negative 1, negative 1.5, negative 2, negative 2.5, negative 3, negative 3.5, negative 4. All right, so negative 1.5, negative 2, negative 3.5. So this is negative 2. All right, this is negative 2. So I'm going to say that this is negative 2. So it's probably like, just like right about here. It's between m and h. So this is between m and h. Right, so 0, 1.5, 2, 2.5, yeah, 0. It's weird how the range changes. Anyway, okay, so that's that one. All right, so here we have to put these numbers from the order of greatest to least. Okay, and again, you're doing this without a calculator here, and it's not too bad. Okay, so I encourage everyone here to kind of like at the very beginning of the test, if you have some scratch paper or something, make yourself a perfect cube and a perfect square table. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right, and your square tables are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 64, 49, 64. What am I doing? 36. Sorry about that. 36, 64, 81, 100, 121, and 144. And then let's see for your cubes. Let's see, you got 1, 8, 27. Then you have, let's see, it's 64. And then it's 125. And then I think it's 216. And then 343. And I think if you go up to 7, that's probably pretty good. I'd have to calculate. I don't remember beyond that. It's like 510 or like 512 or something. I don't remember that. If you can remember the 7 perfect cubes, you're pretty good off. You're pretty well off. But anyway, so because you look how far up you go. You're only 54 cubed up there. But anyway, so now you start kind of like placing these in order, trying to figure out here. So you look at 24 divided by 3. Well, 24 divided by 3. So 24 divided by 3 equals 8. So 25 divided by 3 is like 8 1/3, right? So it's like 8.33 remaining. Okay, negative 4.5 is negative 4.5, right? So that's going to be pretty low. Okay, so we're going to go like this and put this is 8.333. Okay, now negative cube root of 54. Well, we look over here. When this is square root of 64, we know that this is 8. Well, no, that's not true. 60. Oh, yeah, it is 8. It's 4. 6 times 6 or 8 times 8 is 64. All right, so we know that that's a perfect square. So we know that this is 8. And then the only real mystery here is we have this one here. It's a negative value, and it's the cube root of 54. Right, so 54, it's between 3 and 4 somewhere. Right, and it's negative, right? It's not more negative than 445. So it's between negative 3 and negative 4. I guess so. Technically, I guess you could write it like this: it's between negative 4 and negative 3, right? And there's nothing really in between those two to like dispute where it is, right? So your most negative value is negative 4.5. Your second most negative value is negative cubed root of 54. Okay, your third most negative value is 1.36. Right. Then your second most high value is 8, and then your highest value is 8.33333, which is, I'm going to write this as square root of 64, and your highest value is 24/3. Okay, so that's an easy way to figure that one out. Okay, moving on here. So here we have a table that allows us to, for each equation, select all of the solutions. Okay, so remember x, so there's plus or minuses, like if the square root of something, right, of x, it's plus or minus x squared, right? So remember that. All right, so the square, so x squared, right, equals 36. So you're going to take x equals the square root of 36, right? So x equals plus or minus 6, right? So x is plus or minus 6. Okay. Now we can do x cubed is 216. All right, so x cubed, let's see, what's a 216? Now we might have to like come over here and do 216. And we're doing cubed. Let's start breaking this down into its factors. 216 cubed, and maybe we'll do 216 divided by 2. So let's do cubed. Let's do 108 times 2. And then we'll bring that down some more, cubed, and we'll do 54 times 2 times 2. Okay, so that's that. 54 times 2 is 108, times 2 is 216, right? So then we're going to take out 54 times 2 is going to be 20, 27. 27 times 2 times 2 times 2. All right, so this comes out, it's cubed, so that's 2, and then 27 is a perfect cube, right? So that's 27, which is 9, and this, so 2 times 9, no, not 2, I'm sorry, that's not 9, that's 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. So 6 cubed is 216. 6 times 6 is 36, times 6 is 216. Is 216. Okay, so 6 cubed is 216. It has to be positive though, right? So the only thing that I can multiply 3 times itself is positive 6, right, to make 216. All right, because if I did negative 6, if I did negative 6 times negative 6 times negative 6, 3 negative signs would come out negative, right? And that would not answer that. Okay, so that's just 6. All right, now we have x squared equals negative 9. So we're going to take the square root of both sides, right? And so we're going to say x equals, well, there's nothing that I can square, right, that is going to give me, that I can multiply by itself, that will give me a negative answer, right? So that is not a real solution, not a real solution. Okay, well, here's a cubed root, right, and I have a negative 27. So if I take a 3 times a 3 times a 3, I get a 27, right? Or a 3 cubed, I get a 27, right? But if I throw a negative in front of all those things, I get a negative 27. So a negative 3 cubed is a negative 27. So there's that one. Okay, so now this next one, I am looking at which one is bigger, or are they equal? Okay, so again, I'm looking, hey, this is about 3.14, and this is about 3. So this is approximately 0.14, and this is about 0.15, so this one is bigger. Okay, this is 7/3, and this is, well, 8, this cube root of 8 over 3. Well, this is 2. This is 2/3, right? So this is bigger. Okay, because this is 2 times 1/3, so this is 2/3, so that's bigger. Okay, so this is 49. 7 squared is 49, and this is 4 cube root of 3. So, or sorry, square root of 3. So I got to put this back in there, and this will make this 16. So 3 times 16, well, that's going to be 32. 32 times plus 16, and we're going to have it's 8. That's 48. So this is going to be the square root of 48. Let's see, 48 there. I can make, square root of 6 times 8. Right, so wait a minute. So I have a 16 times 3. I already did that. Look at that. That's 16. I'm doing it. All right, so let's look at this a different way. Okay, so 4 times square root of 3. Well, what is the square root of 3? Okay, well, the square root of 3 is somewhere between, right, it's square root of 2, square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 3 is going to be like a little less than that. It's square root of 3 is approximately like 1.7-ish. Okay, but either way, even if it was 2, it would be 4 times 2, which is 8, right? And it's way less than, that's way less than 49, right? So definitely definitely 49. So then I have 2 pi times the square root of 80. So 2 pi is like, it's like 6.15-ish, right? And then I have square root of 80, right? So the square root of 80, like I kind of look at my tables here, and 81, it's almost 9. This is almost 9, right? So that is that one, okay? So there you go. Okay, well, we're almost there. Okay, list all the numbers shown. Now we're going to say which one and categorize them as normal, rational or irrational. All right, so let's see if we can reduce these, okay? This is square root of 36 over 2. 6 times 6 is 36, so this is 6 over 2, which is 3, right? So square root of 36 over 2 is a rational number, okay? This has a square root of 7 in it. All right, square root of 7 is not a perfect root, so negative 0.1 times the square root of 7, it goes in our irrational number, okay? The negative square root of 9 just equals negative 3, so that goes into our rational numbers one. Square root of 31, 31 is a prime number. I can't factor it out or break it down anymore, so that's going to be an irrational number. Okay, negative pi, pi is an irrational number, so negative pi would be an irrational number. And then we have over here 23 over 2. Well, that is a ration. that is a ratio, right? So that by definition is a rational number, 23 over 2. Right, so there we go. Those are our answers for that one. Okay, so that test is pretty straightforward. Knowing this and writing that on your test or the back of your test right off the bat is a good warm-up for this test and will help you tremendously if you know this. Know this. Know this. Okay? Hope that helps.